Well, good afternoon. This is Devin Murray with another masterclass from Attract More Families, your source for private and independent school marketing news, ideas, and help. Today we're going to talk about, this is kind of an older concept, but you'll see that I use it a lot on the blog. We're going to talk about the circle of success for marketing of private schools. And this is essentially how to build a marketing system that allows you to get more customers and get more referrals. So it's pretty simple. You have traffic, traffic, capture, nurture, convert, retain, and analyze. But it's a circle. So each one leads to the next. And if any one of them is not there, we'll have some problems. So what you will find is that each one of these does feed into the next and allow it to grow. And I'll talk quickly about each one here, but then we'll go ahead and get into a little bit more depth on each one of them as we move down, as we get further into today's class. And as I said before, each one of these builds on the next. So none of them can stand alone. They all have to feed into the next for the system to grow and for you to continue to have the success that you're looking for out of a marketing plan. So first you need to obviously have traffic. And this is, how do you find potential customers? And how do you get them to come to you? You need to capture them, which is what are you doing to get your potential customers to actually contact you and to get your people's contact information? Nurture. People do business, obviously, with people that they know, like, and trust. So how are you building that relationship? How are you getting people to have that friendship, that connection with you, that they see you as their, education authority and leader? And how do they find that when they have a question, you're the one they come to? So when they need help or they need to enroll their child someplace, you are the source that they come to. How do you convert? Obviously, you can have all the leads you want. You can have all the people coming in for tours. You can have all the cards filled out. But unless people are actually enrolling and turning over checks to you, those application and those tuition checks, then you've done nothing. So you need to make sure, how do you convert a customer so you actually get the enrollment and their child is actually in your school? How do you retain these children and these families? It's significantly cheaper, obviously, to keep the students you have than to go out and find new ones because of enrollment costs, getting them enrolled, starting them off, that learning curve that your staff takes to try and educate people about how things are done. So what are you doing to get people to stay and to retain them? Also, as a part of retaining is, what are you doing to get people to give you referrals and recommendations? Because parents that are staying, that are happy, that are thrilled with your school are the ones that will be staying enrolled with you and will be giving you those recommendations and referring their friends and neighbors and associates to you. And finally, the last part of this circle is to analyze. Look at what is working and what can use some improvement in your processes. If you don't have numbers, you can't get better. There's the old saying that what you measure improves and what you don't measure can't improve. So you need to be looking at and going, hey, how are our numbers working? How is the marketing plan we have? How is that working? Is it doing what we want it to do? And if not, then we go back into the circle again at the top and we maybe adjust. Maybe we need to look and start seeing, hey, maybe the people, the leads we start bringing in, the traffic we're attracting, maybe we're attracting the wrong kind of people. And that's why we're getting low conversions to people that actually give us their contact information. And we get people that are enrolling or people that won't enroll because we've attracted the wrong people. And then because we've attracted the wrong people and got the wrong people to enroll, they're not happy with us because they're not the right fit for us. Therefore, they're not giving us a referral. Therefore, they're not being retained, and we're not getting those recommendations from them. That's kind of how that circle works. So we can then go back around and okay, hey, maybe we need to look at a different group of people to start attracting and circle back around and then analyze how they're doing. right? And I think I said this before, but I really do want to reiterate it. If you're missing any one of these 6, your entire marketing plan falls apart. Like I said before, you can be attracting all of your ideal people. You can be getting their contact information. But if you're not getting them to enroll, what's the point? The entire plan falls apart. Right? It has to all work. And if you're getting people, the right people, you're getting them to give you their information. You're getting them to enroll, but then every year they're leaving, and you have to get a whole new group of people in. That's not working. You're not getting those recommendations, right? So it all is a circle. It all leads to each one. And your success will only be as good as that weakest link. So if you're not, you might have a great system for getting people's contact information, and your staff is awesome at getting pretty much everyone that comes in the door to actually enroll with you. And you keep people, almost 100% of the time they stay with you. And everyone that stays with you gives you just massive recommendations and referrals. And you can see this when you look at the numbers. But you're not getting anyone to come in. And you're getting no leads in the door. That's your weakest link then. And the rest of the system will be no better than your weakest link. So just a real quick warning here. Just a little warning here that I want to kind of put out there. I've done 2 and 3 hour presentations on each one of these 6 pillars before. You can find some of them on my blog at attractmorefamily.com/blog. You can find them in my book, Your Private School Marketing Plan. They're out there a lot. So this is not going to cover every single point in depth, or we would be here for an entire weekend seminar. Again, I do those too. I come out to schools and associations, and I'll teach all these pillars for the entire weekend. So please know that we're not going to be able to cover all of those. Yes, you're going to have questions. At the end, I will give you an opportunity to find out how to ask some of those questions of me. My goal here is for you to understand how this circle of success, how these pillars all relate to each other, and how you can go ahead and use them in your business to help grow your enrollments and grow your school. So let's first start off with talking about traffic. This is the first one. Again, they're all related. We can start anywhere we wanted to, but traffic is the most logical place to start. And as a private school, we know that we have to attract potential customers all the time. You need to be attracting them. You're not a dentist office or doctor's office or even an auto shop that can have clients for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Hopefully your kids are actually graduating and moving on. And after 4, 8, 12 years, that child has run their course through all of your grades and is moving on. So you have to be always filling that bucket. New potential families every single year, every month, every week, every day. Now, I'll be the first to tell you I'm an online tester. I believe in testing online. Although I am a marketer across the board, I do both online and offline marketing. I really like doing online marketing first, and that is because I can do it as a test. You can make changes quickly. I can change the headline on my website or on a page talking about grades or an enrollment offer that I'm making. I can make that change in 30 seconds. Or if I'm working with a webmaster, I can do it in half a day. I can make changes very quickly. Versus if I've got something that's in a brochure or in the phone book, right? I can't change those. A brochure is going to probably take me a couple weeks at best to fix, and then I'm still stuck with all the brochures that I had that haven't been changed. Phone book I can change once a year if I'm lucky. I can also find that with online testing, I can do what's known as A/B split testing. And this is, I can run people to any site on the World Wide Web. So it can be an offer page that I'm running, a landing page, which we'll talk about later here. Or I can even do to my homepage or even to my entire site in general. And I can split the traffic and send them to 2 totally different looking sites or 2 different pages, or I can just have some very small things changed. I can have the offer changed from one that is maybe a 1 month free to a 4-week free. Which one's going to pull better? By the way, a little hint there, actually 4 weeks pulls better, even though it is technically less than 1 month. People's subconscious mind believes that 1 is less than 4. But I can send people to different sites. Now I can split 50-50 traffic. I can split 90% to the site that I have and only 10% to all of my tests. Or I can kind of run them whatever numbers I want. And I also find that the other reason why I love to really start online is because this is where your ideal customers are starting. Their searches too. Millennials who are now the 18 to 34s are the ones that have the children. They're the ones that are making the money, the ones that are looking to enroll in private schools. And so this is where they are going to start the search. They wake up in the morning and they live connected to the World Wide Web. They're going to start their search online, and only after they've narrowed down their selection to a couple, or maybe even just one that they're just going to try and vet to make sure that it meets all their criteria, only then do they go offline and actually pick up the phone and call you, or actually come by your school to actually look at it. So because that's where they are, I like to be there first too, and be working really hard to make sure that my online presence, that everything that I'm doing online is right. And then what I find that I can do is I can then take what's working great. What's the offer that's working great? What's the headline that's working great? What's the benefit, that value statement and benefit statement that I can present to parents, that I find the one that works online? Then I can take that one and take it offline. I can put that into my brochures, my phone book ad, onto newspaper ads. That's what I can do, is once I know what's winning, I can take those from the online world and take those offline. Because I know it's working, because I've had the ability to test and get actual results from parents. So what do we need to make all this work? First off, you need a winning website. For some of you, I'm actually going to say this, you actually need a website too. I know most of you have come around and have created a website, or have had a parent create a website. If you haven't, you need to get one, and you need to really get a really good one going. This is one of those investments in marketing that is really worth it. Go and actually have someone who knows how to do a website, build a website for you, versus having a parent do it on a free blog site, or on the free version of Wix or Squarespace. Find one that really works good. And you need to have that website. You need to make it easy for potential customers to understand what you can do for them. Don't assume that parents understand what you do. How does a private school differ, and what are the benefits of it? Make it easy for them. Help them understand that. And don't make them dig through all sorts of pages and click 2-3 pages deep to finally find your value statement. Make sure you put it right there on the front page. You need to make it easy for them to contact you. I would think this would be wouldn't make sense that I have to tell you that, but the number of websites that I see for private schools that have the phone number buried down at the bottom of the page, or in really small print. It makes it impossible for parents to find out how to contact you. What is an email to contact you? Where's the form that I can fill out to actually contact you? Make it easy for them. Don't hide that information, because the whole point of your website is to get people to actually contact you. So make it easy on them. You want to have a clearly defined path for your different types of customers, or different types of potential customers for that matter. There's actually a really great article on this elsewhere, but it talks about how you've got a path you've got folks that are coming to you that know nothing about private schools. And they're in that information search phase. They're trying to figure out, what does a private school do for me and my child? So you want to make it easy for them to find those informational resources of how do they find what a private school does. How is it beneficial to them? This is generally to your blog and those authority articles that you want to be publishing and putting out there. Another group of customers and potential customers that are coming are the ones that want to enroll. So make it easy for them to find, how do we enroll? What forms do I need? How do I contact you? What's the next step? Make it easy for them. Make sure you have a section that goes looking to enroll or want to know more about our school. They know that they want to do a private school and they're pretty sure that you're the right answer. But make it easy for them. Don't make them search and hunt and have to guess at what tab on your website has the information of how to enroll. And then the final group of customers that you really want to have a path for on your website is your current customers, your current families, both parents and students. You want to make it easy for them to get to the portal, to that parent portal, so that they can log in and find out what are the grades, what are the activities, what are the homework assignments. You want to make it very easy for them. Don't make it a challenge. Make sure that it's very easy to find and not buried at the bottom in some bottom of page footer navigation bar that has, the parent portal, and you just assume that everybody remembers to bookmark that page. Make it easy for them. Every time that you make it more challenging for any one of these groups, you're going to lose a percentage of them. You also want to make sure that your website is mobile ready. Now, the number of people that carry the internet around in their pocket with smartphones and tablets is well over 50%. So know that, a lot of parents, that's what they have at home, is they have a tablet at home, or they just use a smartphone or a large smartphone. The line now between smartphones and tablets is actually blurred, with some smartphones actually almost being bigger than some of the smallest tablets. But you need to make sure that your website is mobile ready, so that when someone comes to you from those devices, that they can navigate around your website, that they can read it. Is your system just shrinking your current website so that everything is this micro fine print that you have to zoom in and scroll left and right to read? Or is it redistributing the content and making it so it continues to be a nice large size that people can read? And is navigation easy for people to see and to find, and again, to find what they're looking for? You also want to make sure that to attract traffic that you're doing what's known as search engine optimization. And this is really simply the art and the science of helping the search engines, such as Google, understand what your website is about. That's really all it is people go into search engines. People go to Google, and they search a pain that they're having. They need an independent school. They need a private school. They want a parochial school near them. So they type that in. Now Google goes to their databases and tries to match what that search was, what their pain is that they're looking to solve, and your website. So the more that you help Google and the other search engines understand what your website is about, the greater the odds are that it's going to show up very high in those results. That's really all that search engine optimization is. It's just helping the search engines understand that your school, that your website is a private school that focuses on, education and sports, and you're not an auto shop or a pediatric dentist. That's what you want to help the search engines understand. And you do this a lot with keywords, and this is just the words that searchers would type into Google to solve their pain. And this is where a lot of times we find that we have a disconnect, that we want to call ourselves independent schools. But what is a searcher, someone that doesn't know that much about our industry? What are they searching for? Are they searching for private school? Are they searching for non-public school? Are they just searching for a school near them? You want to make sure that you have the words, those keywords that people are typing into the search engines. And you can actually go to Google and use what's now called their keyword planner tool. And Google will actually tell you the words that people are using. And then once you know what those words are, you need to have them on your web pages. You would be surprised the number of people that when I talk to them during one of my consultations, which are, by the way, absolutely free, and I just look at all of your marketing plan and kind of help you out and figure out where you are and what can be done. And I always just let you go as friends. If you don't want to work with me, that's great. Or I'm always happy to work with y'all. But I will find regularly that y'all do not have those keywords on your pages. I'll look at a school's homepage and nowhere do I see private school or independent school or parochial school or a Christian-based school. We have our school names on there, but that's it. So it's really important that you make sure that you have those keywords on your webpage. Again, that's how Google understands what your webpage is about, is by having the words that people are searching for on your page. You also need to have your keywords in your metadata, which is your title and your description. Again, there's a nice long blog article and video on how to do all of that on all the SEO. But basically, those are some background places that help the search engines understand what your page is about. If we look at a book as an example, your title would be the title of the book. So you'd want to have private school in the title of the book. Yeah, you don't want to have a book on dieting that doesn't have the word diet or lose weight or anything in the title. That wouldn't work. And then the description would be the back cover of a book, which should also have the keywords in there. If you're a private school, you would think the back cover of your book would talk about how great of a private school you are. So you just need to make sure that you have those. And then you also need to make sure you have links to your website. People and Google need to be able to find your website. You need to be listed in directories and on websites and with other organizations around you and organizations that you are connected with. You need to be making sure that your link from your Facebook page links back to your website. You need to make sure that you have a link from the regional association of independent schools. Make sure they actually have a good link that actually comes back to your website. Google looks at it as a voting machine. Essentially, the more links you have, the more valuable that website must be and the more importance it has, and therefore also the higher it's going to show it in the search results. A part of traffic is also having a social media account. This is where people hang out these days. People don't use the front porch anymore like they used to. People used to socialize in person. They used to hang out on their front porch. They used to meet people at church or at sporting events or at the grocery store. Or they would just have neighborhood block parties. People don't do that as much anymore. People now hang out on social media. Things like Facebook and Instagram. So this is where people are hanging out. And just like when they used to get together after church or at a restaurant or at the park, it's where they start looking for ideas and recommendations and who people think are the best for whatever their pain is. So if you're not hanging out there, if you're not making it easy for people to have you as a part of that conversation and to be a part of that conversation, then you're missing a tremendous number of leads that can be coming to your school. It's also a two-way communication. Realize that social media is not just about blasting your message. It's not about standing there with a bullhorn and screaming, "We're the best private school in this area if you want your child to go to an Ivy League school." That's not what this is about. That's not what social media is about. Social media is about two-way conversations. Just like you would never do that with a bullhorn at a cocktail party. No, you'd show up, you'd ask people how they're doing. You provide useful, helpful information. And then only after you've done that, when they start asking, "Hey, so what do you do?" Then you start telling them what you do and what the benefits are to them. You also want to make sure that, obviously, as a part of social media, that you're actually a part of that community and helping. Again, as I said before, it's kind of like being at a cocktail party. You want to make sure that you are helping people, not just sitting there screaming your message. And finally, a great way to get traffic is from social media is Facebook ads and social media ads that you can actually target very specifically the kinds of people that are ideal for you. Facebook gives you over 5,000 different data points that you can match to find your ideal customers. And then you can show your ad as a part of their marketing, as a part of their social media experience. you can be there. Now I know everyone's gonna jump up and down real fast and go, but everyone finds that annoying. They get mad. No, they don't. If you are being useful and helpful, and are targeting the right people, then your ad will not be an annoyance. If you're just blasting your ad out there, that would be a huge annoyance. Just imagine, when you look at like a auto shop or a brake place's ads. Those ads run a lot of the times, and when your brakes are fine, you find those ads annoying. But what happens when you pulled into the driveway at night and you heard your brakes kind of crunching, your pads are gone, the car's going to be jerking a little bit, and you're about to take a road trip? Now, if that ad showed up right then, you're going to be like, oh, that's awesome. That's exactly what I needed. This is a great store. They're going to help me solve my problem. That would no longer be annoying. That's what you're also doing with social media ads. Another great way to get traffic is pay-per-click advertising. This is Google AdWords, Yahoo, Bing has a pay-per-click section. There you can also have banner ads. If you have, especially in the larger communities, there's a lot of blogs and informational forums. You can run ads on just those websites, which specifically target your ideal customers. And basically the whole point of a pay-per-click ad is you're targeting your ideal customer when they're looking for help. If we go back to the analogy I was just using about a car that needs new brakes, if I were to type into Google, brake shop near me, an ad showed up from one of the local brake shops about what they can do and how they can help me and how they can have me in and out in an hour, or how they have a loaner car or a car that I can drop mine off and they'll take me to work. That's the kind of targeted ad, because I have a problem and they're offering the solution. That's what a pay-per-click ad will allow them to do, is to be there. And you basically just target the search terms that people are looking for there at your website and when they're looking for help. The other final great thing about PPC or pay-per-click is that you can really track the results very well. I can track what I paid for someone to click on my ad, and I can track them all the way through until they're actually enrolled. So I can look and go, okay, I have to run my ad. It costs me, X dollars every time someone clicks on it. We'll use $1 for simple math. I know that every 10 times someone clicks on my ad, one person will fill out a form for me to contact them. So that's cost me $10 for every contact form. I know for every 5 contact forms I get, I'll get 1 enrollment. So I know that that's going to cost me, $50 for every enrollment. That's very trackable that I can do that. And then I can look at me, okay, is it worth it for me to spend $50 to get an enrollment? And honestly, the answer for that would be a resounding yes. That would be great, but that's the kind of results we can get with pay-per-click advertising. And because I can track it all the way to enrollment, it is tremendous. With traffic, you want to make sure that you can be found on maps. People are web-first searchers. They search, I need an independent school near me, a private school near me. I need a brake shop near me. And Google and the other search engines look at that, and Apple being one of them, looks and goes, oh, this must mean that they're looking for a business near them. Let me pull up a map and show them a map of what's around them. The 2 biggest of these are obviously Google, the Google Plus network, which is what it's called now. Google searches social media business listings, and Apple, which is actually powered by Yelp. Apple pulls all of its information from Yelp, which is why Yelp is so powerful. Again, I have a whole nother article on that on it's the Apple, Yelp, Microsoft trio that is trying to compete against Google in search and for money. You can dig that one up if you want to learn more about how Yelp and Apple are all tied up there. But people search maps for local businesses. Know that that's where it is. So if you are a local business, which you are, as a school, you need to make sure that you're showing up well on maps, because that's where people are going to start looking. Or even if they aren't looking there, they're just typing into a search engine. Google or Apple are going to assume that that you're looking for a local business, and they're going to start providing you with maps. Because it wouldn't make sense for me if I live in Denver to be looking for a private school in Boston. Now, if I am, I will continue my search, and I'll actually redefine my search and say, hey, I want something actually that's in Boston that's not near me. But generally, I want a private school that's near me, which means I want maps. So how do we go about making sure that we show up well? The first thing is to simply claim your page. So this is with Google Plus or Yelp. You just need to make sure that you actually have claimed your page so that you have control over the content. A lot of the times we find that there's actually errors the website of what the search engines have found about our schools. Because they've gone out and they've kind of crawled the web and they've tried to figure out from running around the web what your web page is about, what your business is about, what grades you serve, what kind of a private school you are. They've done their best, but a lot of times they will have errors. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you claim your page. You then need to make sure that it's complete. This is a part of their algorithm for who shows up at the top of a local search result. A map search result is who has the most complete information. Again, Google particularly loves to provide people with complete and useful information. So if your page is only halfway filled out and you don't have a full address, all you have is the city that you're in, you don't have the grades listed, you don't have your school year listed, then Google's going to look at that and be like, I might not want to show this at the top of my results because this is not going to be helpful. If it's not helpful, people are going to leave me and they're going to go to Yelp. And then Yelp is going to get the advertising dollar. You also want to make sure that across the web you have consistency in what's called NAP, which is your name, address, and phone number. You need to make sure that those are very consistent across the web. So whatever you call your school needs to be consistent, and don't be doing it with abbreviations unless you're using abbreviations everywhere on the web. Make sure your address is the same across the web. This is the really big one that I see wrong a lot, because although the search engines seem very smart, they're actually very dumb. And if you look at the way information is coded, street spelled out, S-T-R-E-E-T, street with a period, ST period, or just ST, are all considered different addresses. Because of the way the information is stored, and when Google and the other map search engines look, they go, oh, these might be 3 different schools, because when I look at the coding of that address, they look different. Same thing with phone numbers. So just need to make sure that you're very consistent across the web. Your reviews, you need to make sure that you're getting those online reviews. Make sure that you're getting Google Plus reviews. The people are giving you 4 or 5 stars on Google. Same thing on Yelp. You want to be getting those reviews because this is a part of what shows up on Google Maps and Yelp. And really it goes into their algorithm, which is simply that Google and Yelp say a real business is going to get reviews. And they base a lot of this off of what would happen at a restaurant. And a restaurant never get no reviews. If a restaurant is never getting a review, even a bad review, if no one ever says this restaurant is miserable, don't ever eat there, and they're getting no reviews that go, hey, this is a great restaurant, you should always eat there. If there's none of those, they have to wonder, the search engines have to think, and they've programmed this in to go, maybe that school or maybe that restaurant doesn't even exist. Maybe it's just a bad listing that we found and they've gone out of business. So unless you're getting those reviews and consistently getting reviews, it doesn't have to be one every day, but every month, every week, regularly you need to be getting reviews. You also need to make sure that you're getting reviews on other review sites, so not just Google and Yelp, but private school reviews and all of the other local review sites for schools and businesses in your area. You want to make sure that you're just consistently getting reviews. So again, as I said, you want to make sure you're getting the review sites, Google Plus, private school reviews. This is also very powerful because people now, as social media has grown, They trust the opinions of strangers who appear to be like them. So people look at review sites and go, ooh, this person looks like me. They sound like me. Therefore, I will trust their review even though they're a complete stranger. You also need to get these reviews that stick. So it has to do with length. No one's going to Yelp and Google don't care all that much about a review that goes, oh, this is the greatest private school in the area. Boom. That doesn't help anyone. That doesn't provide useful information. They're going to tend to negate that review. They want the longer ones, a paragraph or two that explain why your school is the best. How did you help? Give me a story. They want people to be able to relate to that review. They also are looking for people that are active users. Yelp doesn't want someone that has never left a review before to leave one review for your school and then never leave another review after that. That's not what they're looking for. That's not what they think. And that just doesn't make sense. So those tend to be dropped out also. So you want the longer ones from people that are actually active Yelp users or active Google Plus users. Make sure that you're getting the reviews from people that actually... All right, so we've also got offline. As I said to start with, I'm a huge online first tester, but then I do believe in using offline results. And I believe in taking what I learned and what I've tested online and take it offline. A phone book ad is one of the ones I believe that the right ad will help make you stand out from all the other school resources out. And it's not just about, here's our school, call us and enroll with us. It's about providing a useful information. Phone book ads are about, here's a pre-recorded message on the 10 warning signs to look for in a private school, or how to find the right private school for your needs. That's the kind of great information that's great in a phone book ad. Obviously, print ads are great. Newspapers, flyers, local magazines are all great places for you to run ads, especially during those enrollment seasons when they're coming up. Direct mail is probably by far my favorite resource for getting people offline. Because I can, just like with online, with direct mail, I can target very specifically my ideal customers. I can say, I want this letter delivered to people within 15 miles of my school who are two-income families, that one of them is in private practice of some kind, doctor, lawyer, high-level C-suite personnel, and are making, mid-6+ figures. I can narrow down my list to that, and I can provide a message that speaks just to them. Those are my ideal clients. I know exactly who they are. I can also find with direct mail, one of my great secrets is to use what I call 3D mailings, which are something, it's got a little bit of bulk in it. A lot of times I'll use a compass, I'll use a pencil, something that stands out, that makes it so the envelope doesn't lay flat. Because this then means that piece has to go on top of the letter pile, where it will be read immediately. You can't put a wobbly envelope at the bottom of a stack of mail, because then the entire stack's going to fall over. Another great offline source is networking, especially for private schools. This is about being where your ideal clients are and being a respected authority in those circles so that you can get to know your ideal clients and attract them to you, and then talk about what you can be doing. So this can be making sure that you're at those business functions, the Rotaries, the business community meetings, making sure that you are at those so that you can network and get to know the parents and the kids of people who are like your ideal families. Networking is tremendously powerful. Okay, so now we've got traffic. Now we need to capture the people. And why do we need to capture contact information? Because too many of the people leave your website or don't ever call you back. People say, oh yeah, I will call you about this, or I'll return to that website. I'll remember who you are, even if they need your service. The problem is they forget. They forget what school they looked at. What was that website that had all that great information and I really thought our child would fit in perfectly with? Oh, is it Ace Academy or is it Pope Academy. I forget which one it was. And then they have to start the whole search over, or they just give up on the search and move on. Or if you are at a networking event, people meet you and they think that they'll remember what school it is, but then if you don't stay top of mind, they will lose your information and they will forget who you are. So you need to make sure that you are capturing the prospect's contact information so that you can stay in contact with them, so that you can make sure that you're in control of that contact information. And also to make sure that you can step out and be in contact with them when it is time for enrollment season to come around. We all think and assume that parents will remember that, it's April, May, June. I need to make sure that I enroll my child in school for next year. We want to think that, but they've also got 20 million other things they're worrying about every day, and they forget, and then it's easier for them just to default to continue down the same path. But if I can reach out to them and stay top of mind and go, hey, by the way, not to be a pest, but just remind you that if you do want to have a better education for your child, or a better whatever your benefit is for your child, now's the time to start thinking about this. Why don't you give us a call and come by a tour, or we're doing a special event. If you have not captured people's contact information from when you met them over Christmas, then how are you going to remind them? You want to make sure that you can do that. And really the best way to capture people is to give them what's known as an irresistible free offer, or an IFO. You will hear me call it that a lot. And basically an IFO is something that has greater value, greater perceived value than their privacy. Right? People are not going to give up their phone number, their email address, unless you give them something that has a little bit greater value than their privacy. Now, I will say that in today's day and age, people are a little bit less leery of providing their email address and tend to provide it a little bit quicker, and their contact information a little bit quicker, because they can scan it and screen it. But you still have to provide them with something that has a perceived value that is greater than their privacy. And it's really about having a greater perceived value. It doesn't have to be an actual value. So it doesn't have to be a coupon for $300 off tuition to have a perceived value. It just has to be perceived. So it has to be something that is valuable to them. It might cost you absolutely nothing, or only a penny or two, to provide, say, a report or a checklist on how to review the different private schools in your area to find the one that's right for your child. To write that up, and even if you print it and send it to them, it's going to cost you, 50 cents, $1. That's high perceived value, but the actual cost to you is little or nothing. And a lot of times you can actually provide them a PDF download of that, which means it's essentially free for you to provide that download. I just want to kind of note on this that the higher the quality of contact that you're looking for, the higher the value, or the higher the perceived value of your IFO needs to be. So if you're looking for those high income, mid 6-figure, 7-figure earners, then you need to have an irresistible free offer that has significantly more value. This might be when you might need to step out and maybe actually print up a book or a booklet or what looks like a book. You'll see that I do this a lot with a lot of my free reports. I actually have them bound, so they look like reports. And I do this with clients, especially for those really high income earners. If we want those really high quality, we might have to pay a couple dollars by printing up an actual book or a booklet. But that's okay. But that's how you get those people that then pay the much higher values. So some ideas on IFOs. I think I've talked about before, reports and white papers. Depending on who your market is, they're both the same. Reports are generally a little bit more colorful. White papers are generally a little bit more report-esque. Checklists, people love checklists because they're simple and everyone's overwhelmed. What really does matter? What are the top 10 things that matter when looking at a school? People have heard 100 different things to look for. They don't know which ones are the most important. So by having a checklist, you can really help them. People also want insider secrets. Yeah. What are the top 10 insider secrets to finding a private school? Because you are an insider, because you're there, you know what to look for. So why not provide those insider secrets? Or what does the principal of Ace Academy look for when he was looking to enroll his children in a private school? Those are the kind of things that's that insider secret that people really want. Another part of capturing, I think I hinted at this before, is what's known as a landing page. And these are actually pages that are dedicated pages to gathering people's contact information. And these can be a part of your website. So it can be, aceacademy.com/free report, or it can be a standalone site. It can be something like leadpages.net. Or Unbounce is another powerful one that I use with a lot of people. And which then it doesn't require you to update your website. If you use a standalone, you have to do no updating to your website. And most of these now actually have an integration with WordPress so that we can essentially add pages without actually going through our webmaster if we want to do it on our website. And landing pages work great for paid traffic or offline ads. These are a great way to help track how an ad is doing or how paid traffic is doing. If I'm paying to have someone come to my website, I want their contact information so I can put that free report that I promised in the ad behind an opt-in form on a landing page. It's also great for offline ads. So if I run an ad in the newspaper about discover, the 10 signs to look for in a great private school in Los Angeles, then I can take them to a landing page and I can have go to aceacademy.com free report LA. And I can have LA1 and LA2, and so I can test what the different ads are working with. But I can send them to a landing page where I get that information, and then I can take them to my website or to the free report download page. But I know that that's what they're looking for, so why not just provide it for them? Another way to grab people's information or to capture people's information is an opt-in form. And this is basically you grab people's contact information, again, in exchange for some kind of irresistible free offer. And generally you'll find it's on the right-hand sidebar of a web page or across the entire website near the top of the page. So if you look at like my website, you'll find it on the right-hand side. You'll also find other pages where I have both on the right-hand side and across the top, right below the content headline. This is just a great way to get people's information because people are going to come to my website and I never know, first off, what page they're going to come to start with. Only 60% of traffic that comes to your website actually lands on your homepage, which means that 60% which is over half, but it also means that over 40% starting its interaction with you and your school on a page that is not your homepage. A lot of the times you'll actually find they go to the teacher's page or about the teacher page. And we just find that that's the page that out of happenstance, you ended up getting all of the right words on there, those keywords that the search engines were looking for. So that's one of the first pages that shows up on the search results. People end up there. If you have a blog or authority section of your website, we'll also find a lot of that stuff is where stuff will end up at. So you need to make sure that you have it on every single page. This opt-in form needs to be on every page of your website. And another reason for this is because you don't always know what page someone's going to finally feel comfortable providing you with their privacy, their contact information, that private data on them. When they hit your homepage, they're going to look at me like, oh, this school, it's salesy. I'm not quite sure that I really want to be providing them for this free report yet. I'm not sure that they're the right one. But then they get in and they read about your programs maybe a little bit, and they read one or two of your authority articles. And then then they switch and go, oh, yes, this is actually a school that I do want that free report now. Now, if you'd only had that report offered on your homepage, they would have to remember where it was and then have to navigate all the way back to that. And the odds of them doing that are... So you need to make sure that you're capturing your parents' these prospective parents their contact information so that you can go back and reach them when you want to reach them. All right, so that brings us to nurture. And this is the next part of our circle of success. And I think we've all heard before that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. When someone first reaches out to you and they first have contact with your school, they know nothing about you. So you need to build that relationship and nurture the prospect until they get to know you, till they get to like you, and they have trust with you. Again, you are going to be responsible for probably one of their most prized possessions, their child, and you're going to be responsible for helping that child reach their full potential that parent hopes that they can have. That's a tremendous bar that you have to be above. They really have to know you and know what you stand for. And they have to believe in that. They have to like what you stand for and like how you're going to do it. And they have to trust that you're going to do that and that you're going to keep the child's best interest in mind at all times. It's been said, and if you read any kind of sales books, it takes 7 touches with a company before someone will do business with you. Now, that be phone calls, ads, website visits, brochures, 7 times. That's really an old number. I think it's really low. I think it has gone up now, especially with social media. People interact a lot more. And we cross paths with information so much more than we used to. I think it takes more than 7 touches. In fact, I had one client not too long ago who told me that they had one person who enrolled. It took 72 touches with their company before the person finally enrolled. That might seem like a lot, and it is, but had they stopped at the first touch or two, they mailed them a brochure, and then that's where they stopped the conversation. They never continued to nurture that relationship along. They would have lost that enrollment. Now, this nurturing, those 72 touches, were all sorts of different things. It was emails that they sent out with both offers and with authority, educational information. It was blog articles that they wrote. It was things they sent direct mail. It was even some phone calls that they made to actually invite the parents to open house night. But it took 72 touches. So that's not, and that's really not, that's high, but not uncommon. The other thing which I kind of hinted at there too was that you don't need to build all of these touches and do them and do them yourselves. You can actually automate nurturing campaigns, and you can do this with what is known as autoresponders, which actually it sends emails automatically. You can also use virtual assistants, which are outsourced people that can do things for fractions of what we pay people in a school to do. And a lot of them are U.S. based. I don't want you to think that I'm talking about outsourcing this to someone in India or the Philippines. A lot of these are people that they want to work from home, and they might work for 4 or 5 different companies. But because they can stay busy, they're able to actually charge you less, because especially the loading, when you add hourly costs and insurance and all of those other things that an independent contractor or virtual assistant can help you with. But you can also integrate this to include offline stuff. So I can use my autoresponders. I actually can tie in with a system that sends cards. So on the child's birthday, on the parents' birthdays, for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, I can have cards sent out essentially automatically. But they look like they come from me, and they look like they have my signature. I love to send brownies. Brownies are just so great, especially when I know that someone's either going to come in for a tour in the next day or two or has just done a tour, to stay that top of mind. So I found brownies are great. Everyone loves brownies. Even if they don't want to eat them, they can share them with other people in their office or around their neighborhood. And 3D mail, as I've talked about before, 3D mail is a great way to nurture those relationships by being helpful and useful, and not just having your mail be boring and a brochure mailed to somebody. By using 3D mail that maybe has a compass and goes, oh, we just want to make sure that you hadn't lost your way to our open house next week. It's fun. It makes life entertaining and something to talk about. All right, so what do we do with all of these contacts that we have? The first thing you need to do is you need to have goals. You need to stand out from everybody else. I've talked about this before. You cannot sound like every other school in your area. If you're using the exact same words about we try and build the children up so that they can be, thinkers and leaders in their future and in their communities. That's blah, blah, blah. And it sounds like what everybody else has said. You need to stand out. You need to have personality. You need to stand for something different. Be something different and show that personality. It's okay to have personality. And you also want to make sure that you let people know that you understand their needs and what they want. The more that you understand your customer and your ideal customer and what wants and pains and desires they have, the more that you understand that, the more that they're going to learn to know, like, and trust you. Because if they know that you understand them, they're going to begin to like you. And if they know that you have taken the time to understand their pain, they're going to trust you that much more. You also want to make sure, too, that you're marketing this nurturing, that you're building rapport and goodwill. This is really where it's powerful to be having those articles, those educational articles and helpful information. And not just about your school. It's about what's happening in the community, both your geographic community and in the education community. Help parents learn, build goodwill by making them feel like better people at the end of the week of working with you. You also want to make sure that you stay top of mind, because you never know when that parent is going to finally come to the point where they make that change and go, yes, it's now time to enroll in a private school. Yes, we all think that it's right at the enrollment season, but that's not true. A lot of them may make that jump because their child came home and is complaining about the teacher and isn't learning, and the teacher doesn't care. Maybe they're moving, or the parent got a promotion and realizes that they need something more. Or one of their coworkers enrolled their child last year and they're tired of hearing about how great their child is doing and having nothing to say about what their child is doing. So you never know when someone's going to want to make that change. So you need to make sure that you stay top of mind so that so whenever they make that jump, whenever they make that time to change, you are the school that's in front of them and they go, yes, boom, I've connected with them. That is now who my private school is. Even if they have to wait 6 months before they can enroll, if they know that they're going to enroll with you and you are their private school, you also want to make sure, obviously, that your nurturing campaign is converting leads into customers. It's not just about building that relationship and being warm and fuzzy and helpful. You also do want to make sure that you are being the leader and showing them how to enroll and why to enroll and getting them to actually take that step. So the program that I like to do is for the first 30 days, I like to have it very structured. And I do this with the autoresponders that actually it's all programmed in. So I'm making sure that I'm building rapport, that I'm building that goodwill, that I'm providing that sales, and that it's templated. I'm making sure that this sequence going into this beginning is very sequenced and is templated. I know on day 1 I send this email. On day 2 I send this email. On day 3 I send this package to them. It's very templated out so that I'm making sure that I'm building rapport, building that goodwill with them, and helping them know how to make the transition from a prospect into a actual enrollment. Then after that first 30 days, I've now built that relationship. I've generally been able to find that I've built that rapport. I know that they know, like, and trust me. Now, after that 30 days, it's really about staying top of mind and not allowing that relationship to wither away. We've all seen that happen. We get to know a business, we love them, and then we never hear anything from them and we just kind of drift off. By staying top of mind and just keeping that relationship going is what I want to be doing after that first 30 days. So I do this by doing a newsletter. And I like this to be weekly at no less than every other week. If you're only sending it out once a month, people have forgotten who you are by then. you have to kind of rebuild that relationship. And I love to have this article, this newsletter be 40% entertainment, right? Something fun, entertaining, and enlightening. I want 40% information. So that's what's happening at our school, what's happening in the industry. And then 30% sales. So I want 30% of the information in that newsletter to be, hey, come enroll with us, or come purchase this from us, or take this action. And yes, that is more than 100%. I know that because a certain amount of the information of those three parts are going to overlap. Obviously, if I'm talking about information and entertainment, that say I'm doing an open house, that's going to be an open house and a community get-together. So we're going to have the parents coming in, showing kind of what's happening. We're going to have some of the sports teams doing some scrimmages. We're going to have a bounce house. We're going to be doing a barbecue. And at the same time, I'm also going to be talking to prospective parents about why to enroll with us. So there I'm doing an article that's entertaining. It's going to be informative because I'm going to be educating them, and I'm doing sales all in one piece of information. You also want to make sure that as a part of this nurturing campaign, you're doing what's called reason why sales opportunities. So whenever there's a reason why you want to do something, and again, I have a great article on why to use the word because. As long as you have the word because, you have a reason why you are marketing to someone. This is a great time then to reach out to someone and go, hey, why don't you enroll? Because you have a reason. And when you have that reason, people want to enroll with you, and they will understand why you're putting a sales message in front of them. Now, most of us only use the only reason why, the only because that we have, is because it's enrollment season. But look at some other reasons that you can have stuff out there. Why not a celebration of Dewey's birthday? Look at the news when it comes out. Has the president or one of the local leaders said something or done something that would maybe be a reason why? Did the school districts around you just get their yearly ratings and reviews? Was there a scandal at one of the schools around you that can give you a reason why you're reaching out? Hey, we're reaching out with you because, as you saw in the LA Times last week, the LA schools ranked in the bottom third of public schools in the nation. And they're the bottom 10% of placing kids in Ivy League schools. However, here at Ace Academy, we're one of the top rated schools, and we place 80% of our students into Ivy League. You can make a message like that. Here's a reason why I'm marketing to you. Here's a reason why you should listen to me. So you want to make sure that you are doing that as a part of your nurturing campaign, finding those opportunities to say, here's why I'm in front of you because of this. And people do not then find that salesy when you give them a good reason why we're there. So once we've nurtured our prospects, now sometimes that nurturing campaign can be 5 minutes. People go from having never heard of us to knowing, liking, and trusting us and ready to enroll in 5 minutes. Sometimes it might take 72 touches in an entire year before they're finally ready to do it. But once they're ready to enroll, we have to actually get them to enroll. There's the old saying that nothing happens until a sale is made, because it's those enrollments that provide the income to your school to do everything that it does, right? Enrollments are what pay for your teachers, pay for your facilities, allow you to do the good that you do, to provide the service that you do, right? You can't afford to not pay for those services. You need that money. So you have to get those enrollments. There's nothing evil or wrong about getting those enrollments, about asking for those enrollments. And even if a lot of your income from your school comes from grants and benefactors, most of them are looking at the number of enrollments you have, either directly or indirectly by the amount of effect that you're having in the community. And that's how they're basing what they're providing you. So again, nothing happens until that sale is made, and there's nothing evil or wrong about it. There's nothing wrong about asking a parent to do what is really right for them. Now we can break down the conversion process into actually a couple of different steps, really. And the first step is what is called pre-indoctrination. It's what I call pre-indoctrination. And this is that time before they've ever called you, before you know who they are. And during this, it's about building your celebrity and your authority and about reputation management. This is when you need to be out there and helping convert people by showing that you actually are the authority in education in your area. So this is writing blogs and articles on education. This is about having your school, your teams be some of the best ranked teams in the area, whether it be sports or academic teams. This is about having your teachers maybe out there doing some speaking or publishing articles. Nation is also about your reputation management. What do those review sites say about you? Are you on Google+? Are you getting 2-star reviews or 5-star reviews? This is pre-indoctrination. This is before a parent ever even calls you. What is their impression of you? Have the indoctrination phase. And this is after a parent has contacted you, but before they've come in and seen your school. They've said, yes, I want to take a tour. And you say, great, why don't you come in tomorrow? Or yes, we're going to come in to your open house event Friday night or Saturday. And this is really the indoctrination. They've said that you're, if not their choice, you're one of the top choices. Because a lot of times they're going to tour 2 to 4 different schools in your area. They're going to go to a lot of the open houses and see which one fits the best with them. So your indoctrination is, before they get to know you, is staying top of mind and really educating them about why you are the best and the only real choice for their child's education. So it's about finding out, why are they coming to you in the first place? Is it because they want that Ivy League school education, that prep school? Is it because they want Christian-based beliefs? Is it because they want their child to have more of that well-rounded arts, theater, art kind of a practice because that's what they believe in? Why are they coming to you, and then helping educate them about why that is the best choice for them and for their child. Then there's the sales presentation. And really, it's about them. The old saying, which we've heard, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You want to be letting them talk during the sales presentation twice as much as you're talking. Let them talk about why you're the best option for them. Make it all about them. It's not that the enrollment would be good for you. It's the fact that the enrollment will be good for them because you're going to provide them with these benefits. You also want to make sure that it's getting a series of yeses. You just want to make sure that they're nodding their head that, yes, that is right. There's these trial closes is what they're called sometimes. And they're just about asking questions that will get this parent to respond yes to. Do you think that it's really important that your child understands, the 3 basic R's really well? Well, of course, yes, that is. Do you think it's important that your child is, feels safe in this community, in the school community? Well, yes, it is. So you want those little head bobs. You want to be building a bond with your school staff as much as possible. And this is where I think it's really important for the parents and the teachers to, as much as possible, interact with the teachers that child will be working with, especially in that first year, if not all the way through. So you want to make sure that if at all possible, that they get to meet their teacher and say hi and shake hands, that they get to meet the coach, that they get to meet, you want to make sure that a part of your sales presentation is you're actually getting to bond with them. And even if that means that teacher has to maybe step out of the classroom and you step in and actually continue to observe why the students are writing or doing a test, that's really fine. It's really important to do that so that and again, make sure that they're doing most of the talking. You also, as a part of converting, you need to make sure that you have some kind of stick, that once that sale is made, that they stay committed to it, that they've said that, yes, we're going to enroll. And here's an application, and we'll bring you the check next week. You want to make sure that you are staying there, staying top of mind, making sure they want to continue to be enrolled with you. And that when next year comes up and that tuition hike comes and that tuition check is due again, you want to make sure that they are staying committed to doing it and educating them about how you're actually relieving the pain, how you are better than all the other options out there. And you also want to make sure, too, that you're actually overcoming that buyer's remorse. A lot of parents, they come to the open house, they say, oh, this is wonderful, this is great, here's our application, here's our check. And then they go home and 2-3 days later, they're like, ooh, this also means now we're not going to be able to take our vacations as much. We're not going to make it to Florida. We're going to have to probably cut back, and I'm not going to get the new sports car I want. I might not be able to play as much golf as I used to. You need to make sure that you're overcoming that buyer's remorse by reminding them, by having a stick campaign that keeps them enrolled, that makes sure that they stay and that they don't call you up and go, oh, you know what, we thought about this more, and now that we're not in that hype of the open house, we're no longer. And post-sale, you cannot forget about post-sale, about keeping them around. You want to continue to build rapport. You want to give them a gift. This is actually one of the greatest ways to get them, because only a certain percentage of people are actually going to enroll with you even during the enrollment process. During that tour, during that open house. A certain number of them are going to say, hey, we need to think about this. We need to talk about it. So you want to make sure that you continue to build rapport by staying in touch with them, by staying top of mind with them. You want to give them a gift. This is what's known as the law of reciprocity. It's actually was brought out by Robert Cialdini, Dr. Robert Cialdini. And one of his big things is people, when you give them something, they feel that they owe you something in exchange. So if you give them a gift as they're leaving your tour, as they're leaving the open house, they're going to feel that much better about you and that much more inclined to feel that they want to come back. Also, you want to make sure that as much as possible that you're getting reviews and testimonials from people after you've done the sale. Now, you might want to do it after the first month or two that they've been enrolled with you. This is actually a great time because they're still in that very high, everything is still wonderful. Their child's coming home every day going, oh, this is so much greater than I thought it would be, than my old school was. That's a great time to reach out to them and go, hey, since you're loving this so much, would you mind giving us a review or a testimonial? Making sure that every year when that tuition agreement and check comes due, that they agree that, yes, this is a really important thing to do. There's 3 ways to make more money in a business. I know this doesn't quite apply to all of us, but I think it's a really powerful thing to bring up there. So we can sell to more people, right? If we want to make more money in our school or make the same amount of money because we lose people over time, we can sell to more people. Right? So we can increase our enrollment. So we're going to make more money by, instead of having 50 students here, we're going to have 100. We can make more money in our school by selling at a higher price. Instead of being $10,000 a year, we can be $20,000 a year. Or we can sell more to our current customers. We can keep our current enrollments there. So again, this doesn't quite apply, but it's a great idea, I think, for everyone to kind of understand. And it's 10 times more expensive to sell to new customers than continue to sell to our new ones. It costs a lot of money to get a new enrollment. So we want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to keep your current families enrolled and not lose them, versus having them leave and then we have to go through all the marketing costs of getting a new enrollment, all the administrative costs of bringing them in and onboarding them, and those questions that all the new parents have. How do I pay tuition? When's pickup? All those things that take your staff's time. All of those are costs that you have to associate with having a new student. And it's so much better to have those parents that already know all the answers, right? The first year you get questions galore from parents. How do I pay? Where do I pay? When do I drop off? When do I pick up? What's the students? What's this? How do I find out homework? All of those things, right? And then after the first year, it's all done, and you barely even hear from them. And you actually kind of almost feel that you need to call them to make sure that their parents are still alive. right? Just remember that getting the enrollment is only the first step. You need to keep them enrolled month after month, year after, because they have lots of other options. If they ever decide that paying tuition isn't for them or your school isn't for them, they have lots of options. And let's not forget that one of those biggest options is absolutely, completely free. All right, public schools are there and they can go to them whenever they want to. So you need to regularly remind parents why they're enrolled with you. Why are they cutting that tuition check? Why are they investing with you in their child's education every single month, every single year? Why are they doing that? Because if you're not answering that question, you're going to lose them. So the majority of customers, 80% or more who leave the business, who leave a school, are not necessarily because they're unhappy. They just feel unforgotten. They feel unloved, right? They enrolled because they had that know, like, and trust. They knew your school. They knew what you stood for. They liked it. They felt understood. They felt loved. They felt important, right? When you're courting new families, you're calling them all the time. You're making sure that you're saying hi to the kids. But then once that family's been there for 2-3 years, you tend to quit making those phone calls and putting all that effort, and because you're busy courting new families, and you'll find a certain percentage that they just feel unloved. They feel disconnected and they start wandering off. And some of them may unenroll and leave, or it might just be that they just feel so disconnected that, yeah, they're there, they're going to continue to pay the tuition bill because they don't want to have their daughter have to start over at a new school her junior year of high school. But they're no longer recommending you. They're no longer providing referrals to your school. They're not encouraging other families to enroll with you because they've lost that connection. So you need to make sure that you're staying there, that you're staying top of mind, that you're providing those newsletters that are reminding parents not just what happened this week. In math class we did this, in science class we did this, and our team won, the last 2 rugby games. You want to be doing more than that, educating them, having those interest stories. If you look at even the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or even the Economics Times, the yellow one or the pink one, I'm forgetting what it's called right now. But all of those have personal, those personal interest stories. And there's a reason they do that, because that's entertaining to people. So you want to make sure that your newsletters are doing that. If even the most business-oriented newspapers out there are having entertaining stories, you should too. You also want to make sure that you're doing those check-in emails, phone calls, letters. Hey, send letters home once in a while just to check in with a parent, to say hi. We just want to see how things are going, making sure that you know that we're here to help you. Here's a path that we're thinking about taking. Here's what's happening in our industry. Send cards, Thanksgiving cards. I love those. Those are one of my kind of secrets, is because everyone gets a Christmas card, right? And I get them all the time, and the ones from my close friends and family go up on my refrigerator. But then I get them from all sorts of businesses and have them. I don't even read because it looks boring. I know it's stamped. A lot of them don't even have a signature on them. But who gets a Thanksgiving card? Right? When you get a Thanksgiving card, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I like this. This is funny. It's different. It builds that rapport. Send out birthday cards to both the children at your school. Have it signed by all the teachers, right? But also send out birthday cards for the parents. Why not wish the parent a happy birthday? Anniversary with the school, right? When your school's been there a year, send out a card that says, thank you, we've loved having you here for this year. Especially if they entered midterm or mid-year. And send out stuff for special events, right? Schools do special events a couple times a year, whether it's a fundraiser, whether it's, sports or academic, or you're holding some kind of a event at your school, an academic event, or maybe just having a bunch of professors from neighboring schools and colleges come in and lecture for the day on stuff. Great way to get people, and send home a letter on it. Make phone calls, send some emails so the parents know what's happening. It's a great way to stay in front of them and to remind them about why they should stay with you and why they should keep coming back year after year, paying the tuition bill, and why they should continue to offer referrals and reviews. So how do we get those referrals and reviews? Honestly, it's really it's a 2 or 3 step process. The first thing is you have to be above average. You cannot be lame and have teachers that aren't great and not be caring and providing the bare minimum you need to keep your enrollments where it is and continue to hope to get referrals and recommendations. Not going to happen. You have to be above average. Mediocre doesn't count it. The next step is you just simply have to ask. Right? We all want parents to just remember that they're supposed to give reviews and recommendations and referrals. No, we have to ask them. They've got 30 million other things happening in their day between work, family, social life, everything else. You are the last thing on their mind, and giving you a recommendation or a referral or reviewing your school is the last thing on their mind. So unless you ask, it's never going to happen. So you have to simply stand up and ask. Now, sometimes this can be as simple as when a parent says, "Oh, this has just been so great. I have loved so much how Mr. Smith has been helping my daughter this year at school." Hey, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. Would you mind doing me a favor, and would you mind writing that down and putting that on paper for me? Here's a form right here. I have it ready. All right? That's all you have to do is ask. It's not about being pushy, but it's about looking for those opportunities. And when you find them, and then you need to make it easy. Don't make them have to go out and guess and go to 3 different websites and open up their computer and figure out what to say. Make it easy on them. Like in my last example, here's a comment card. I already have it on a clipboard with a pen attached to it. You can just write what you just said down. That's one way. Tell them what site to go to. Make a video or a quick how-to point-by-point letter that goes, here's how you leave a review on Google Plus or on Yelp, right? Or private school review. Make it easy for them. Here's some sample testimonials or reviews that we have. Provide them 2 or 3 great examples of where to start. Because a lot of times people, it's not that they don't want to give a review or recommendation, they just don't know where to start. They don't know what to say. They've never said it before. And that's where you get those one-liners of Ace Academy is a great school in our area. Period. Done. Here's a review that means nothing to anybody. Because it's not that they don't want to, they just don't know what to say, and it's easier to not do it or to do the minimum possible. So provide them examples. Again, one of my other favorite tricks is to actually pre-write out 2 or 3 recommendations for them in their words and send it to them and go, if you would like, I've made this as simple as possible. Circle the one that you would like to use and sign the sheet at the bottom, and that'll be your recommendation. Or write one yourself. When I do that, 80% of the people will just circle the one that's closest to what they want, the one that, and really they sound just like them, and they send it back and they're done. And now I've gotten the referral, that recommendation, that review that I was looking for. So make it easy. So the steps are, again, ask for it and make it easy. So our final part of this circle of success is to analyze what our results are. The old saying is you don't know what you don't know. And until you look at it, until you measure everything and check everything, you don't know what's working, what isn't working. The number of times I sit down with clients and go, okay, so you've got your website, you're in the phone book, you've got brochures out there, you run an ad in the newspaper every year at enrollment season, and you send flyers and stuff home with your parents asking them to hand those out to all of their neighbors and friends. So which ones of those are working? And I normally get just this deafening silence. Nobody knows what's working because they're not tracking, they're not analyzing it. They don't know what their return on investment is. For all they know, one of those is getting them 90% of their results, and the others aren't doing anything. And if they just knew which one was winning, they could put more time and effort into that one, and they could double their enrollments. Or they could easily charge a lot higher tuition because they have a wait list. If you don't analyze, if you don't know what's working and what isn't working, you don't know what your return on investment is. For every dollar that I put in to this marketing piece, how much am I getting back? Am I getting back 50 cents? Or am I getting back $1.50? If you're not making a positive return on investment on all of your marketing, then you're losing money. You also have to look and analyze what's your lost opportunity cost. Because you didn't have the budget to do 2 amazing open houses, because you're spending money on flyers and brochures and all this other stuff, then you're only able to do 1 open house. And the open houses are what's making you all the money, that's getting you all the enrollments, right? So that means you lost enrollments because you are marketing to the wrong place. So you want to make sure that you know what's working, that you're analyzing what's working and what isn't, and let's either fix or get rid of what isn't working and focus on what is. So some of the great ways to analyze stuff: Google Analytics, which is, by the way, free. Google paid a couple $100 million for a web analytics company called Urchin a long time ago, and they made it completely free. And that tells me all about what's happening on my website. So that's a great tool if you don't have Google Analytics installed on your website and you don't have access to those reports. Then you need to get that. Like, that's one of your action steps for tonight. Another way that we want to be tracking stuff is with tracking phone numbers or URL. This is how I can tell what ads are working or what offers are working. Right? So if all of my ads have a different phone number, then I can track and go, okay, this ad got this many phone calls came through on this ad. So I know that this one, what the results are from that ad. And now tracking numbers there's options for free to minimally free. Generally, I can rent a number. I think it's costing me $10 a year to rent a tracking URL. A tracking phone number. So I can track phone. So if I'm running 2-3 ads, that's $20 to $30 a year max that I'm paying to know which ads are working and which ones aren't. That's pretty powerful and pretty important. I can also do this with URLs, so website addresses. I can buy a website address or rent it for about $8 a year. So I can run an ad. I can have a tracking phone number, and instead of sending them to just my website, aceacademy.com, I can send them to bestlaprivateschool.com. That could be one of my tracking URLs. Or LA's best private school. I can come up with all sorts of tracking URLs, and then I can track. All that a tracking URL does is that's a website that people go to. When they hit that URL, it ticks and goes, okay, here's this person. We know who they are. That's one count. And then it sends them to whatever page I want them to. So I can send them to a landing page. I could even send them just to my website. But I now know that ad, what ad is working, what offer is working. Again, is 1 month free or 4 weeks free working? Is, no book, tuition covers everything. Or tuition covers, uniforms. Or tuition covers books. Those, even though the offers might be the exact same amount of money in the end, I can find out which one's working. Another one that I can do with flyers and stuff like that is I will print them on different colors of paper. So I can ask the parents. So the flyer they got you to call, what color's the paper? Oh, it's pink, it's green, it's blue, it's yellow. Okay, great, thanks. Now I know that flyer worked. Maybe I give different color flyers to different parents, so I can kind of track within a neighborhood or area what colors are coming back, or segment my parents out into different groups. And I can see, at least from that, what kind of offers or what kind of groups of parents getting me the greatest number of referrals. What's working? You can also just do trackers. And these I do simply on an Excel spreadsheet, or now I've actually started transitioning everything over to Google Documents. I use a Google spreadsheet now so I can share it amongst all of my team. And I just keep track of my key numbers to see how are we doing. What are the number of calls we're getting? What is my number of website visits that I get? How many calls do I get? How many of those calls change into leads? How many of those leads turn into tours, and how many tours turn into enrollment? Now, although I can't give you any hard and fast numbers, generally I find that number of calls that turn into leads is about 50%. So 50% of the people that call wanting to know more about my school, 50% of them I'll actually end up with their contact information. Therefore, they're a lead. And then about 50% of the people that they call in as leads turn into tours. They come in to see the school in one way, shape, or form, whether it be a private one-on-one tour, a group tour, or an open house event. And out of the tours, a minimum of 50% enroll. Obviously, you're going to get some people that show up there and you're not the right school for them. You're not the right fit for them. But a large number of them are, because they've invested that time and effort. Generally, they're just looking for reasons to not enroll. So as long as you do the tour right, then you will get the enrollment. And there's a great article I have on the blog and on YouTube, again, on how to do tours to get those enrollments. So it's about 50% through all of those. So those are good numbers. Obviously, certain schools have a greater percentage or lesser percentage than that. But those are some great rules of the numbers to be looking for. And by analyzing them, we can look. So if we go that only 10% of our calls are changing into leads, that tells us that we're doing something wrong on the call, that there's something wrong on that call step. Maybe our staff isn't well educated about how to ask for contact information and how to get people to do the next step, right? That's actually a very scientific, very formulated template that I have that we use. So maybe it's that, or maybe we're just getting the wrong kinds of people to call us. That's another thing. But if we can look at that and go, okay, yeah, something is happening between the calls and leads section. Once we can analyze that and we know the numbers, we can then step back and go ahead and fix it. So again, it's a circle of success. We've gone ahead and talked about all of them. So traffic, we need to get people to come to our website, to us. We need to attract people. We need to capture their contact information. We need to nurture them so they begin to know, like, and trust us. We need to convert those leads into actual enrollments, because nothing happens until that enrollment is made. We have to get people to actually enroll with us. That's how we keep the lights on. That's how we provide the services that we need to provide, that the kids need, is by having them actually enrolled with us. We then need to keep them there. We need to retain our current families, because it's so much cheaper to keep the ones we have and to get those outstanding reviews and recommendations from them. And then we need to analyze what's working and what isn't. Do more of what's working and let's fix what isn't working. And that again brings us back to getting more traffic, which captures more leads, which nurtures them more, which converts more, which retains more, which then lets us look again at. So I hope you found this very, very useful and helpful. I know this has been a long masterclass. We're in an hour and 50 minutes right now. But this is a really big, really powerful conversation. And if you would like, and I know that it can look overwhelming at points, but it's little individual steps that we can take and little tweaks that can make huge differences. It's the old saying of, if you look at horse racing, is a great example. The average length that the first and second place winner in the Kentucky Derby is less than half a length of horse. And yet the winner wins 10 times more money than the second place finisher does in the Kentucky Derby. It's those little things. That horse did not win by 10 times more distance. That horse didn't win by 10 extra laps, right? That horse won by less than half a length. And that's the way it is with all of our marketing. It's little tweaks. You could be so close and just need that one little tweak that'll take you from getting 50% conversions to getting 80% conversions. So if you'd like some help to start implementing these things, you can set up a free complimentary marketing review and consultation with me. And I'll be very clear, I am not a high-pressure salesman. You'll see that when I talk about how to convert people to actual enrollments. I'm not a high-pressure guy. That's not my concept at all. So, and when we get on the phone together, if you want to do this review and consultation, you're going to find it's not going to be a high-pressure sales presentation at all. We're actually going to sit down and together we're going to look at what's working and what's not and find ways that we can improve those weak areas. The call takes between 60 and 90 minutes, and in the end, you'll have all the information you need. I'm not going to hold back and pull my punches and tell you, oh, you just need to do this little thing, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. No, I'll actually tell you every step you need to do. I will show you what to do. I actually regularly send documents along after the fact so that you have all the information. And if you want to move forward on your own after our call, that's great. We'll part as friends. And actually, I'll ask that, hey, stay in touch. Let me know how things are going. Because I actually find that I become friends with a lot of people that are on these calls. But if you would still like to work with me, if you want that little bit of extra help, if you don't want to take it all on yourself, I will be happy to work with you. But that's what the call is all about, is finding out if there's a need and if we would work together well. So if this is something that you'd be interested in, go ahead and you can either call me or you can go ahead online and fill out a consultation request. So anyways, this has been Devin Murray with AttractMoreFamilies.com, your source for independent and private school marketing and enrollment growing ideas. I hope you've enjoyed this masterclass. I wish you the best, and I look forward to talking to you and seeing you, hopefully, in the future.